for the hardest-hitting show in talk radio. The true progressive voice since 2012. This is Southpaws.
And welcome to Southpaws on the Pacifica Radio Network. We are the leaders of the revolution. My name is Darren Gibson. I'm your co-host.
I'm Katy Steele.
And I'm Jack Prince.
Boy, we got quite a bit to talk about today. Donald Trump is suing Facebook and Twitter. Don't know how successful he's going to be with that. We do have some breaking news out of Michigan. The Attorney General is going after people who are raising money off of false claims that the 2020 election was stolen from Trump. We also have a Hammer Time segment this week, and we've got plenty more to talk about besides that. But before we get started with today's show, a couple of reminders. You can follow us on social media by going to facebook.com/Southpaws Radio Show. You can follow us on Twitter at Southpaws Radio. You can follow us on Tumblr at southpawsradioshow.tumblr.com. You can follow us on YouTube by doing a search for Southpaws Radio. You can become a patron of the show by going to patreon.com/Southpaws Radio. You can listen to the show anytime you like at Spreaker.com or at Stitcher.com by doing a search for Southpaws. You can find us on Apple Podcasts by doing a search for Southpaws. Once you found our logo, you found us. We send links to our weekly episodes to our Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, and YouTube accounts. You can listen to us on Global Community Radio Channel 1 every Saturday night at 11 Eastern. And you can listen to us on great Pacifica stations, including KCEI in Taos, New Mexico, KZGM in Kabul, Missouri, WOOL Bellows Falls, Vermont, and KEPJ San Antonio, Texas. And, of course, if there's a local Pacifica station in your area, if you would, please donate your time and or your money. They could always use a lot of both. We might as well get right into it here. This is breaking out of Lansing, Michigan. This is David Eggert writing for the Associated Press. It is breaking, I should say, as we're recording on Friday, July 9th, 2021. Michigan's Attorney General has opened an investigation after a Republican-led state legislative panel said people are making baseless allegations about 2020 presidential election results in a northern Michigan county to raise money or publicity for their own ends.
Surprise.
Yeah, not really. Lindsay McComal, spokeswoman for Democrat Dana Nessel. By the way, Lindsay is a former Wood TV reporter, did a great job working for them. She just took this position earlier this year. She said Thursday that the department accepted the request from GOP State Senator Ed McBroom of Vulcan and the Senate Oversight Committee he chairs. State police are assisting in this investigation, by the way. Election night results in rural Antrim County, which has roughly 23,000 residents, initially erroneously showed a local victory for Joe Biden over Donald Trump, but it was attributed to human errors, not any problems with machines, and corrected. A hand recount validated the results as accurate. In a report that also determined there was no widespread or systemic fraud despite Trump's claims, the committee said that those promoting Antrim County as the prime evidence of a nationwide conspiracy to steal the election place all other statements and actions they make in a position of zero credibility. The report did not specify whom should be investigated, but people mentioned in it include lawyer Matthew DePerno, who unsuccessfully sued the county on behalf of a resident, and former state senator Patrick Colbeck.
Yep.
Colbeck has called the report shoddy and has called for the panel's GOP senators to be censured. DePerno has accused the committee of an election cover-up. On his website, Colbeck asked for donations to cover costs to defend himself after Dominion Voting Systems threatened legal action over his false claims that the election was stolen by manipulating the company's machines. Dominion has accused Colbeck of knowingly sowing discord in our democracy and soliciting exorbitant amounts of money, over $1 million, to his business. DiPerno's website seeks donations too and says $384,000 has been collected. The State Senate Committee also urged the Attorney General or Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson to investigate a Wayne County Republican canvasser statement that election officials used poorly constructed drop boxes for absentee ballots despite the canvassing board having disallowed them. The report called it a serious breach. The Attorney General's office did not elaborate on the probe specifics, saying it is an open investigation. So,
well, Colbeck's been at this for a long time. I read articles weeks ago about his claims being demonstrably false, maintaining misleading information, illogical conclusions. So I don't even know how he continues. This isn't a new revelation. I hadn't heard of this other guy, but I'd heard the name Colbeck. And an additional note, did you see that our sheriff down in Berry County,
Dar Leaf?
Leaf was just, you didn't see this? Just 2 days ago.
Remind me. I think I saw it, but.
He was in direct communication with the crazy attorney, Lindsay.
Oh, brother.
They found emails between the two of them. He was on his way to physically pick up voting boxes on Election Day. And he was recruiting sheriffs from all over the state that would corroborate with this idiot. And I called Berry County Sheriff 2 days ago. Got a sheriff on the phone.
Yeah.
I said, the fact that you haven't fired him is testimony either of collusion or complete refusal to admit the obvious. He is an absolute discredit to the police department. Why do you maintain him? He goes, yeah, you're right.
Well, and that's the problem with police. Who polices the police?
Exactly.
Who do you send in?
That's who they all are.
You also
right.
You also got to remember he's an elected official. The sheriff is an elected position.
You can't fire somebody who's elected?
The only one that can you can either recall him or the governor has to get rid of him.
But you cannot fire him.
Well, why the hell the governor wouldn't get rid of him is beyond me.
I don't know.
He was found to be in cohorts right here downtown Grand Rapids with the same yo-yos they kidnapped or attempted to kidnap.
This is where we're at, though. He can actually go down during the next election cycle and stack those ballot boxes with his own votes.
Is this the story?
And there's no recourse for any of us. There's nothing we can do.
Is this the story you're talking about? I have this. Jonathan Oosting writing for Bridge Magazine.
Yep, that's it.
Berry County Sheriff Dar Leaf last year tried to enlist fellow constitutional sheriffs to seize Dominion voting machines at the heart of an election conspiracy theory promoted by Donald Trump. That's according to what Bridge Magazine has learned. A trove of emails obtained by Bridge Magazine through the Freedom of Information Act indicate that Trump had at least some law enforcement support in his bid to overturn the 2020 election won by Democratic President Joe Biden.
We already knew that, exactly.
Yeah. Bridge obtained emails from Leaf that detail his unsuccessful efforts to obtain voting machines and inspect them. The records indicate that Leaf's attorney provided updates on the effort to Trump allies, including attorney Sidney Powell.
There she is.
And a contact for former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. Leaf told Bridge in a brief interview that he worked with other Michigan sheriffs on what he called an ongoing matter after the election, but would not divulge specifics. Leaf, a Republican who made national headlines last year for joining armed militia members on stage at a protest against Democratic Governor Gretchen Whitmer's COVID-19 pandemic orders, said, quote, "It is our job to investigate all acts of voter fraud," end of quote. There's no fraud, you idiot. None.
I mean, we're mad at him and we're calling him names, but he has absolute discretion to do whatever he wants. He gets to say what his job is. He gets to do that. And we live in a world where we're fighting for other things to change. Because and if that doesn't change, what good is anything else we do?
That's very true.
He maintains that he has a right, months after this election, to go around still sniffing up the illogical trail of voter fraud.
Yeah, he can decide that he has a right in 10 years to go have sex with any woman he feels like. He can say that publicly. He can enforce it.
Isn't it still legal? The police can have sex with
No, Michigan finally got rid of that.
Shortly, sometime in the 2010s, it was changed.
Yeah,
finally.
The good Republicans.
And that was only after, I believe it was a federal investigation that involved a sex worker here in Michigan, and she had a long relationship with a police officer, and finally came out and gave the whole story on what he had been doing, and they finally got enough support to make it illegal, but...
Yeah. Finally. A long time, though.
Way too long.
Continuing the story, the emails which are coming to light as conservative activists continue to call for a forensic audit of Michigan's election describe a plot benefiting a banana republic than a stable democracy. That's according to David Becker, executive director of the Center for Election Innovation and Research. Becker said that talk of seizing voting machines is, quote, tin pot dictator stuff, end of quote. Absolutely it is. Yeah. It's nuts. It's
especially
insanity.
By somebody who is an elected official. Mm-hmm. I mean, how do we not have any type of laws for people in power? Ever. There's no retribution or accountability. If they're in power, they just get to break every law and rule, and there's nothing we can do about it. And we keep talking about making more laws, but I don't know that it matters.
The Center for Election Innovation and Research is a nonprofit with aims to improve voter confidence, participation, and election administration. Becker said, quote, it's obviously extremely concerning, especially given the fact that the ballots in Michigan, which are all hand-marked paper ballots, were audited extensively, end of quote.
So,
yeah, extensively.
I think simply by entertaining these arguments, the arguments of the right, and keeping this conversation going, we are giving a credit to, like, we are giving it a level of relevancy
true,
that it doesn't even deserve at this point.
Like, I know.
Every single time we bring it up, I was speaking earlier, I can't remember if we were on the air or not yet, but I was saying we're focused on the 2020 election still, and we're going into the 2022. We've got 2022 coming up. You know, I've heard more about 2020 this week than 2022, and I understand that people are concerned because they're worried about what's going to happen going forward, but if we don't actually look forward before it's here, that's a whole nother bag of problems we're going to have to deal with.
Absolutely.
Like the neoliberal establishment Democrats that have been thrown on the black candidate, the progressive black candidate in Ohio.
It doesn't.
Nina Turner?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We knew how the DNC was going to do Nina Turner.
We've talked about how the DNC works up here. You know, the local Democratic Party.
Right.
If you think it's just here in Kent County, no, it's everywhere.
For sure.
It's ubiquitous.
I mean, we reported when AOC was running and how much pushback she was getting. The guy that she beat in the primary was going to run as an independent against her. So right there it is.
Who's the candidate they brought in to run against her?
She was running.
Black leader in North Carolina.
Who's that, Nina?
Yeah, the senator. I think they're trying to get the guy that
threw the election.
I didn't see who they brought in.
Clyburn. James Clyburn.
Did they flood the race yet? Did they get a bunch of people running in it?
I think
that might be next.
That's a known tactic for the Dems, though, is to flood the race. But now they're past the primary, right?
I think so.
But Clyburn's the guy that headed the revolt against Bernie and stopped it in its tracks.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, by the way, Clyburn has received douchebag of the week for that one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, remember they wouldn't let her speak. She was supposed to speak at the nomination or whatever at the convention.
Yeah, at the convention.
And then they cut her off at the last minute.
Yep.
Yeah.
But to finish your story, Colbeck and DePerno, however you pronounce that.
Yeah, DePerno.
They are saying that they want to have the same audit that Arizona is having.
Oh, where they're looking for bamboo? Literally looking for bamboo in the ballots.
Well, like I said to Katy before the show, they're not even in Arizona. They're counting them in a cabin, Darren, in Montana. That's not hyperbole.
Jeez.
And that's what they want to emulate here in Michigan.
Unbelievable.
But the news, like Katy said, this is just delicious to keep beating these idiots because they're so ridiculous.
Yeah, over and over. And they keep the same narrative going. And it's like, at this point, I'm not even interested in it anymore. So I'm having a hard time.
And maybe that's a tactic of theirs.
And I'm sure it is. Exactly.
There was a Republican, I forget his name, but he went to my former boss when I was running the local Pacifica affiliate years before and said, the reason we run negative ads all the time is to keep people home so they don't show up at the polls. He told this to my boss.
Yeah, that's surprising.
But they're both millionaires, so they're all in the same club, and we're not in it. So, yeah, here's my thought on these people. Cuckoo.
Yeah,
if you believe in QAnon, you're a cuckoo. Moron, idiot, imbecile.
Is shocked. Is my thing still on? Because I accidentally.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Margie Smith, went to the Holocaust site in Poland. That had to be Dachau, right?
Oh, okay, yeah. Maggie Smith on Facebook?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, you know, the nut from Georgia.
Gotcha.
Margie.
The senator.
Marjorie,
Smith.
Marjorie Taylor Greene?
Green. How do you get Smith? Anyway.
Taylor is pretty close.
Yeah. She supposedly had this epiphany while over there, walking through the Holocaust. And they have her
didn't
recorded.
Actually use the word epiphany. That's way too long for her.
No. She had a climax. How's that? So she came out
She had a brain fart is
there was
what
a
she
moment,
had.
Yeah.
Reminds me of a joke, but I'm not going to say it.
Yeah.
The point is that they bought it. They go, look at that. She's been moved by seeing this gruesome. The next day she comes out and says, more vaccinations now being forced on us. The brown shirts are coming. So she went right back to even more disgusting that they were shocked in the first was that now they're shocked that she swung back as if she ever.
She is a brown shirt.
Yeah.
Stained.
Jesus. Why Congress hasn't thrown her out on her ass is beyond me at this point.
Let's take a look at Congress.
Yeah. Idiot.
The red side. Holy God.
Unbelievable. Well, we do have good news. This is Caitlin Palance writing for CNN. This is dated July 7th. Rudy Giuliani has had his law license suspended in Washington, D.C. because he lost his license in New York.
Can they ban him from TV and stuff, too? Because I just don't ever want to have to see his face or hear his voice again.
Wouldn't
I've seen
that
enough
be
videos
nice?
about that, man. I'm done. I'm done.
You folks need to, if you've got satellite TV, you folks need to do what I do. You can't watch Fox Propaganda Channel on my TV because I've locked it out and it's password protected, and I'm the only one with the password. Pry it out of my cold dead hands.
You should hire that service out to people.
I should. Oh, you know what? That's a great opportunity. Sure, I'm glad you mentioned it.
Since we're talking about Fox, I've been meaning to bring this up. I wanted to make a motion to vote on a vocabulary change.
Yeah.
So instead of Republicans, because there's certain things we don't say on the show.
Yeah.
Like we don't refer to the Cheeto as anything except the Cheeto. Well, not specifically the Cheeto, but we don't call him anything official.
Yeah.
What else do we not say, Darren?
The word news is not used after the word Fox because Fox is not news and never was news.
Right. Thank you. So instead of calling them Republicans, I think we should call them savages.
Hey, I like that.
I think it's about time we labeled them as they should have been labeled since the beginning. They are the savages.
They certainly are.
It's exactly who they are, and they need to take their title back.
I vote for that. Sure.
What do you think, Darren?
It's unanimous.
All
I think it's passed.
The savages.
Yeah.
Can we floor this motion? Didn't we also say that instead of using the word crazy, we're going to just use the word Texas?
Oh, so that's right. Texas.
Those Texas Republicans?
Those Texas savages.
Yeah. That's true.
Hey, speaking, back to Giuliani. We slipped over that way too fast.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, on your way to Orlando down I-4, there's this huge tent. There's a school for clowns. And no, honest to God, it's really there. It's internationally famous. Am I not right?
Yeah,
but
I know.
You guys, at
I've
one
seen
point,
stories about
clowns were actually here to ward off the evil spirits. And considering he actually is an evil spirit, I don't know that we should actually.
You don't know if he'd mix in? I think he'd be the dean of the place. I really do.
He could definitely pull off the disguise. That's for sure.
Yeah. Put some brown syrup on his forehead and he'd be off.
There you go. There you go. Oh my God.
He's already down there in the sewers with.
Where do you stop at Giuliani? I mean,
you can't.
You have to hold yourself back.
It's like an elevator that keeps going down and down, and it's like, where's the bottom?
There's no bottom. Yeah, it's.
But another idiot is that guy named Mo Brooks, I think.
Okay,
he came out 2 days ago. He says, "Well, the reason that I said let's kick ass and take names, remember, just minutes before the insurrection, was because he's saying that was direct communique, even the exact wording from the White House, and so he can't be found guilty.
I believe it's true.
Yeah, it's probably true.
Yeah.
But if that's true, why the hell can't they convict
the White House
Trump for insurrection? I mean, if that's
my point.
You can't grant him that and say he's not guilty, and then turn around and not prosecute.
Unless you're saying that it's legal to do it in the first place.
Yeah.
Right?
They probably are saying it. It's legal to lie on the media, on advertising.
All we're doing as we sit back and let it happen and focus on changing things that aren't really going to affect it is giving him more time, more money, and more power.
Mo Brooks, though, is he related to the great comedian?
Mel Brooks?
Mel Brooks?
I don't think he is. No. By the way, Mel Brooks just recently celebrated, I think it was his 95th birthday. He's still around and kicking.
Oh, the guy's great.
Yeah, they had I forget what channel it was. It might have been IFC ran a Mel Brooks movie marathon.
Oh,
Young Frankenstein,
yeah.
Spaceballs.
Did they have the greatest one he ever made called High Anxiety?
I don't know if that was part of it.
Oh
no. My favorite, Blazing Saddles.
Yeah, that's an icon. Yeah, not many people know about the...
that is an iconic movie. Cleavon Little.
He plays a psychiatrist.
No.
In High Anxiety, he does.
Oh, High Anxiety. Okay.
Yeah, the Blazing Saddles.
Oh, you got
Blazing Saddles. I have heard of that one.
You haven't seen it? Blazing Saddles?
The one I saw at
maybe I don't remember.
One I've seen at the theaters though when it came out, History of the World Part 1.
Oh yeah,
that is fantastic. Oh my God, you gotta see it.
Okay, good to know because I needed a movie.
A lot of Jesus like that too.
That was a star-studded cast. B. Arthur was in it. Yeah. Ron Carey from Barney Miller was in it.
Cloris Leachman.
Was in there.
Favorite actresses.
Oh wow.
This is before your time. I'm feeling really old. Katy's drawing a blank on.
Oh, stop.
Did you see the History of the World?
I'm really bad at movies to be even my age movies because I'm too focused on learning everything else that's happening before generally, and I'm not focused on what's coming out right now ever. So in 40 years I watch everything. Like
Mel Brooks is the king of France and Harvey Korman comes up, "Sire, the peasants, they're revolting." He says, "You said it, they stink on ice."
This reminds me, I just saw The Princess Diaries.
Oh, there you go.
It took me my whole life. I'm almost 40. But yeah, I just said that. I still haven't gotten to Harry Potter. None of the really good classics of my age.
There's some good stuff right downstairs. But we can't play them. There's no VHS player.
Right? Yeah, it's hard to get.
There's some. For example, Dr. What is help me out?
Dr. Doolittle?
No, the guy that drops the bomb.
Oh, Dr. Not Jekyll and Hyde.
Dr. I don't know what
I know what you're talking about. It's a long name, right? It's like
Dr. Strangelove.
Dr. Strangelove.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
One of my all-time favorites. Catch-22. Some old timers.
I'm going to see if I can come across the VCR now.
By the way, there's a company that's making brand new VCRs.
Really?
Yeah.
Are they here, or will we have to ship it from somewhere where it takes 4 months?
Probably ship it, and it's going to take 4 months. I don't know. I might have a spare VCR at my house. I've had a couple of them, so I'll have to look.
Keep me posted.
Yep. I want to go on to the next story here since we're talking about Giuliani and his cronies here. This is Sarah Fisher, author of Media Trends, writing for Axios.com. Donald Trump, who has complained about censorship by social media giants, filed class action lawsuits Wednesday against Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg, Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey, and Google CEO Sundar Pichai. It's the latest escalation in Trump's years-long battle with Twitter and Facebook over free speech and censorship. Trump is completely banned from Twitter and is banned from Facebook for another 2 years. So he's filing this class action lawsuit in the Southern District of Florida. He seeks immediate injunctive relief to allow the prompt restoration of his social media accounts. He said he's also asking the court to impose punitive damages on the 3 social media giants. Apparently, his effort is being supported by America First Policy Institute.
Shocking.
Which, more cuckoos there. You know who's on the board for America First Policy Institute? The president and CEO is Brooke Rollins. The board chair, Linda McMahon, as in World Wrestling Entertainment, Linda McMahon, Vince McMahon's wife, who was running the Small Business Administration under Trump, by the way.
Which is, that's who handed out the loans, right?
So what's she going to do? Is she going to run into court and hit somebody in the back of the head with a steel folding chair? Is she going to give him a pile driver on the concrete floor? What's she going to do?
Pile driver.
Figuratively, yes.
Linda and Vince McMahon, the two that destroyed professional wrestling in this country in the 1980s by screwing over every other promoter in the country and taking the business nationally. There's now less people watching wrestling today than there were 30 years ago. Hell, 10 years ago. It's crazy. Actually, Jim Cornette, the former wrestling manager who has his own podcast, by the way, I can't brag enough. You guys, if you love pro wrestling, you need to listen to Jim Cornette. He says there's more people watching shows about pro wrestling than they are watching the actual product these days. So there you go. Yeah, so Trump's lawsuit I don't think is going to get anywhere because they're private companies. They're allowed to do whatever the hell they want to.
He just wants to keep his name in the press. You know.
So, Donald, I got this news message for you.
You're gonna win. You're gonna win. You stink. You're gonna win.
You tell him, Stillwell Angel.
I hope you're right. Because
Trump's all bark with these lawsuits. They had a thing on CNN the other day, the list of suits. It goes on and on. That never even materialized.
Yeah, he'll lose the lawsuits. I'm more worried about the next election.
Every newspaper, towns, cities, just endless.
Oh, yeah. He does it for fun.
And one guy is the guy that writes them all up, too. I can't think of his name.
Yeah.
One attorney.
I did.
Not Giuliani, is it?
No.
I believe it is somebody he used for at one point, though, and he ended up looking like an ass in public, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
He used him for something else, and the guy was just...
Yeah, what the hell is his name? Anyway, it's frivolous. It means nothing.
Yeah. Speaking of douchebag, do we want to do the Hammer Time segment? Can we go ahead and do that right now?
Yeah, I wonder who the bags are.
Okay, yeah, we've just got one this week, so let's play the appropriate music. Here we go.
Stop! Hammer time!
Oh yeah, it's Hammer Time. And it is time to drop the hammer on the douchebag of the week. This one's a previous winner, so hold on to your hats for this. Fox Propaganda Channel's own Tucker Carlson, who I have a different name that I use for him that rhymes with Tucker that I can't use on FCC-regulated airwaves.
I bet it's Sucker.
They used to make, when they used to spell Massachusetts back in the old day, they used F's. So there you go.
Well,
it's kind of close.
Remember the jelly company, Smuckers? I always ask people, I wonder who the mother of Mother Suckers was.
Mother Smuckers. Oh, my God.
Whoops, I mean Mother Smuckers.
Oh, God. This is Josh Feldman writing for Mediaite.com. This is dated July 6th. Fox Propaganda Channel's Tucker Carlson suggested Tuesday night that cameras be put in classrooms to, quote, oversee the people teaching your children. Carlson talked about critical race theory and parents who have been publicly vocal saying they don't want it being taught to their kids. I think we actually have the audio of this. This runs a minute 53. Take a listen here.
Corporate media has no interest in amplifying their stories, or the story of this guy. This man is a father who showed up at a school board meeting recently in Illinois and decided to tell a few obvious truths. Here's what he said.
You gonna deliberately teach kids this white kid right here got it better than you because he white? You gonna purposely tell a white kid, oh, the black people are all down and suppressed? How do I have 2 medical degrees if I'm sitting here oppressed? How did I get, first of all, time up, because I only got 5 minutes now, 5 minutes. 2 medical degrees, no mom, no dad in the house, worked my way through college, sat there and hustled my butt off to get through college. You gonna tell me somebody that looked like all y'all white folks kept me from doing that? Are you serious? I do this stuff on a daily basis. I'm in the hood, I'm in the communities. I'm out there with folks in their face. I've been doing this stuff since I was 18 years old, talking to black folks. And you know what? None of them are buying this nonsense. And ain't not one white person ever gonna keep any of them from getting there. So the CRT stuff, BS.
Must be one of those alt-right QAnon people CNN's always warning you about. It's BS, he said. And you heard the applause in the background. The overwhelming majority of Americans, and pollsters have found this pretty clearly, think this is insane. They think you should judge people by what they do, not on the basis of their skin color. They believe in Martin Luther King. So it is BS. In fact, it's more than that. It's civilization-ending poison. But it's everywhere. How widespread is it? Well, we can't really be sure. Until we finally get cameras in the classroom, as we put them on the chests of police officers, until we finally get a civilian review board in every town in America to oversee the people teaching your children, forming their minds, and let's hope we get both of those very soon. But until we do, we can't know exactly how widespread this is. But there are indications. We know that these ideas, this poison, has made it all the way to expensive private schools in central Ohio.
Wow. Jack, you are a former educator. What do you think about Tucker's
Well, they actually
brain
have
fart?
a bill, and in the bill to stop critical race theory elucidation, it says that they don't want any education that promotes guilt in the white students. They didn't even say black students. They said in the white students. Now, follow me with this for a second. You're using the word guilt for the extermination.
Empathy. That's what they're doing.
Yeah,
They're
again,
exchanging the word guilt for the word empathy.
Exactly. Or in any word, just appreciate the truth. History has an appreciation because you find out, well, that's what happened.
Right.
I didn't want the space launch to blow up and kill all the people.
But it
right?
did.
But it happened. And so if you tell me it didn't happen, that's worse than being uncomfortable. Am I right?
Right.
But think about this. These conservatives who are fundamentally driven to a great degree by fundamentalist Christianity, right?
Yes.
Fundamentalist Christianity has as its building block, as its cornerstone, as its number one driver psychologically, guilt. G-U-I-L-T. What the hell is it if you have to repent of your filthy sins? You listen to the words. Don't tell me. Does that not engender guilt?
You're absolutely right. But let's keep in mind these same people who practice this fundamentalist ideology don't actually confess or repent because they don't do anything wrong.
No, they're pristine.
They talk about how it has to be done.
They take a bath. They take a bath in blood.
Oh, that's
they take
right.
a bath
and they
in
were
blood,
done,
and
so
then
they're
fine.
good. They can eat their little wafer, right?
Yeah.
And take their little drink, and
right.
They're fine.
Yeah, and then any other thing they do,
the body
Right.
of the
They
body
could be
of
forgiven.
the body of Christ, the blood of Christ.
well, yeah, but I mean, it's a bloodbath.
Oh, yeah.
You talk about the dual meanings of words. Repentance and then salvation in the United States is based on a human sacrifice. Tell me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
A human sacrifice, and then you bathe in their blood, his blood,
Yep.
the guy and then you eat his body. And you're okay to do anything hell you want to do.
Yep.
But then you dare accuse somebody of understanding the atrocities of slavery, then you're worried about guilt in that person.
But they're
I don't
not
know.
worried about
It's-
guilt. Like I said, they fear empathy. They want to eradicate the empathy, not the shame. You know, it's not the shame they're sad about. It's they want people to fear that feeling of empathy, because that's what's going to happen if you tell them that you're not allowed to guilt people into this and that, and you're not allowed to make this bad. It's not a bad thing to brutally kill people.
But all the organized religions, it's fear based.
Oh, hell,
It
sure
is.
it is.
The Bible
Exactly.
is fear based. It's the most violent book ever wrote.
I have a good friend who's a psychiatrist. The number one neurosis of women, guess what it is? Guess where it comes from? They're Catholic women who, after 30 years carrying the weight of their rottenness on their shoulders,
for having had sex,
have become neurotic, or masturbating 11.
Yep.
They become neurotic.
Exactly.
And they're flooding now they can turn on Catholicism, which isn't a bad idea, but they were raised in self-condemnation.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's always been a form of control. Yeah.
Oh,
That's definitely how they control women, even outside of religion, I think, now, because society has so many.
why wouldn't they? They got a Bible
ideas.
that says a woman is unclean while she's menstruating, and she's to be driven out of the village for a number of days before you can even talk with her.
Right.
You wonder why she might feel a little guilty? I mean,
Yeah, it's look at the differences in how men can walk around and show themselves, and it's like just normal, right? It's just a guy walking around being human, but if a woman does it, then she is actually like
well, here's the
criminal
quiz
and
show question. Would you
dirty.
list all of the bills that show the government of the United States controlling men's bodies? Could you, for $40,000,
Yeah, I
can you give
can't
me
think
one?
of one.
Zero.
Well, except that they're not allowed to foster out Native American children. They call them Indians in the law, I believe.
Oh, really? I haven't heard of that one.
It's the Indian Child Welfare Act.
Oh,
they finally passed a law
that
they're not allowed to steal babies anymore.
Wait a minute, Jack, I just thought of one.
That's the only body that they're police.
If men are part of the LGBTQ community, they have less rights than straight people do.
Yeah,
that's about true. The only one.
Yeah, I guess you could bend that around there.
Yeah.
By the way, you see the transgender woman that just won Miss Nevada, was it?
I forget what state it was. Yeah, I did see that. I forget what state it was.
I'd vote for her.
My old buddy, Wayne Bush, out in Oklahoma City that I went to high school with. Hey, Wayne, how are you doing, bud? Posted a meme a couple of days ago. It's Jon Stewart with his hand to his face like this, and it says, it's a quote from Jon Stewart. It says, religion, it's given people hope in a world torn apart by religion. So then Wayne kind of got into a little argument with one of his relatives, Mike Huckleberry, who has been a previous guest on this show. He's a former state representative. They kind of got into it, but Wayne is correct here. How many crusades did we have? Why did the first settlers of America leave England? How many witch trials did we have? How many wars were all in the name of God? Politics of religion is just God's will, it stated in different words. He's right, though. The Crusades, the Inquisition, we talk about Thomas de Torquemada on the show on a regular basis.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been reading, I just finished it actually, but it was an older book it was published locally, which is why I picked it up, but it was about a Nazi soldier who returned from World War II. And he basically came back, and his mother was extremely religious, very anti-Hitler. He was very pro-Hitler, very pro-Germany. Yeah, and he had hope, even after coming back to completely annihilated Germany, that they would be able to build back. And he gets invited to this underground club of people who are, still pro-Nazi and still trying to fight for the future. And it's such a ridiculous show of Nazi sympathization, and it's written in 1948, so it's really disgusting. But in the end, he ends up falling in love with the Christian girl who was taking care of his mother while he was gone. And then the police end up putting a grenade through the window and killing his mom because they it was the underground group because he wouldn't completely devote himself to them. So they threw the grenade through the window and killed his mom. And that was how it ended because he found Christ. And so everybody came back together and it was around religion now instead of country. And I was like, oh, this is such a great illustration of exactly what they did after the war.
Yeah.
They went, oh, okay, well, we'll just rally everybody around how it's better to be kind. And, you don't want to be violent or angry.
No.
You have to find forgiveness for everybody, right? Because that's what the Lord said. So you got to forgive those Nazis, Jack. I mean, they just threw kids in the oven.
That's what religion does.
They just use it every single time.
And we have to keep saying on this show, there was a time in history when religion ruled the world, right? When science was totally and completely denied. And they called it the Dark Ages. Is that part of the history, by the way, that's going to be thrown out?
Look at the Indian treaties. The treaties with Indians is what they called them, local ones, when they're talking about how this is okay, to the genocide and the annihilation of the natives was okay because they said they annihilated the man who was here before them. That's because they denied evolution. They denied evolution so that they could say, oh, no, see, there was people here before the natives, the Mounts people, and the natives actually annihilated them. No, people evolved.
Except white Anglo-Saxons.
Yeah, we cannot seem to evolve.
A group called West Siders, and they put a picture last night of St. Alderbert's, what do you call it? Church?
St. Al's.
How beautiful is it? How beautiful Catholic churches are. And I posted, I wonder if anybody looked under the back lawn for their bodies. And I might as well
good one, Jack.
taken a leak on Facebook because it was shocking.
Oh, I've gotten banned from the history groups. I've only in one now for bringing it up.
I'm telling you, sock puppet accounts is the way to go.
They will actually say, and they say it to me all the time, I've heard it from several of them, this is not one of the good, happy memories that we're here for. This is not what this group is about. It's a history group, and they will say, this is not what this group is about. And I'm like, you're whitewashing it on purpose.
Exactly.
You were handpicked.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I had a lady the other day she came into a conversation about lilacs.
Mm-hmm.
She said that the European immigrants, the first people to come here hundreds of years ago, brought them to make them because they missed home. And I said, the first people to come here, the people have been here for thousands of years, first of all. They were not considered immigrants. Mm-hmm. And she was like, geez, you're so picky. You knew what I meant. And I was like, yeah, I am so sorry I brought up that thing where you tried to erase an entire culture of people.
They won't adjust to the new
genocide.
Figures that there were 20 million people on the continent instead
25.
of... How many?
I think it said 25 in
25
Howard Zinn's
million.
book. Yeah.
See, and the conservatives want to say it's maybe a million. Maybe a million.
Yeah, right? No. And they're
savages.
saying...
Those are the original savages.
What they're finding is that we're far more advanced than we are. Far more. Look at the pyramids.
Mm-hmm.
There's
no way that...
There are pyramids all over,
that could be done today.
If you ever get bored, go look up the Bosnian pyramids.
Yeah.
They're calling it a conspiracy theory.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a Bosnian doctor, Osmanagic, I believe his name is, and I'm probably murdering that pronunciation.
Mm-hmm.
Osmanagic or Osmanagic. It's got a G. But he is basically saying that there is a network of pyramids in Bosnia, and the granite in the stone, which is way higher quality stone than we've ever seen, helps the electricity from lightning, which was attracted to the gold in the top of a pyramid, create energy. And so he said these were actually energy systems, the pyramids were. And there were networks of tunnels underneath them where they would live, and that he swears one of them offers healing properties. So...
What was savage about the Indians was that they had a system of sharing where they had no personal ownership. Their life wasn't centered on acquisition of more and more goods to the Europeans that came over here in the interest of acquiring free land. Right. That was savage to them.
I know.
And we call them savages.
The Indian chief, the Native American chief's role was actually to take care of anybody in the tribe who couldn't get food or water or shelter. That was what they did. Their power was never used to hold people down. It was always to bring people back up.
Mm-hmm. So getting right back to Tucker Carlson before we wrap it up, Jack, hypothetically speaking, you're in the classroom, they put up one of these cameras. How long does it take for you to go to the gym, grab a baseball bat, and come back and smash it into a million pieces?
Well, unfortunately, I'd been the only person that did it. Some of the schools I taught, they'd have been cleaning off the lens of the damn camera. But no, there are many teachers that would be revolted by that. I don't want to sell them short. We had observers come in, including Betsy DeVos, for no explanation into our classroom.
Oh, lovely.
She would sit in to evaluation meetings. We had to reapply for our jobs downtown Grand Rapids, and they brought the mayor in. I was being interviewed for a job I'd had for 6 years. And the end of the table was the mayor of Grand Rapids.
Which one?
The Hartwell.
Oh, my old buddy Fart Smell.
Fart Smell. The point I'm making is that education has become privatized, and corporations are running education.
Absolutely.
So to put that camera in there to observe the teacher, I'm not surprised that's being suggested.
I don't think it's about observing the teachers. I think it's more about collecting more data and more facial recognition images and criminalizing our students. I've told you what's going on at my kids' school, and I'm sure they've already got cameras in every class. There's no doubt.
Oh, no, I think it's all 1984 right here. They want to control everything.
I mean, we had cameras in 1997 in East Kentwood in every hallway. Why are they acting like this is not already a thing? Yeah. They've got to be in classrooms, too, by now. Yeah. There's too many things that happen with school shootings and stuff. There's no way they don't have them.
Yeah,
makes me wonder why this is even a topic, you know?
You got to regulate those damn teachers. Mm-hmm. Forget the inspectors for high-rise buildings in Florida. DeSantis said, we don't have to worry about that. We don't need a commission to do investigations there. Well, get those teachers. That's where our problem is.
Those educators are brainwashing our children to actually think for themselves instead of just blindly following what the right-wing idiots say. That's all it is right there. Sorry, that's the wrap up on that.
I feel like sometimes there's more, though. Like, is the MEA going to rush in and save the day? Like,
no, because they're in with it as well.
That's what I figured, You never know, though. That's what I was saying. When they work together, sometimes they come out and try to make the other one look good.
Jack, I'll let you criticize the MEA because I don't know enough about it.
I'm just saying they're so manipulative and they're so Democratic Party centered that I trust nothing about them.
They're neoliberal all the way.
Oh, absolutely they are.
Randy Weingarten of the NEA, every once in a while, kind of like Biden, spots out some progressive educational noise, but it's usually overruled.
Yeah, it's all noise.
Oh, so Tucker Carlson, congratulations on winning yet another douchebag of the week. We have this message for you.
Don't be a douchebag.
You got that right. Hey, Tucker, why don't you do something smart and get off the air? Help the rest of us out.
Sucker.
Or I could go with the old, what movie was it? Grumpy Old Men? I could go with the old standard. Why don't you pull your lip over your head and swallow?
What did his family do that made all the millions?
Tucker?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Some ridiculous, like it's a product.
Oh, I need to look it up now. Hold on.
Yeah, I'm saying, why not go
like ShamWow?
Ain't he related by marriage to the Swanson family in Swanson TV Dinners?
I think it's TV Dinners, yep.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, he's related through marriage. He's not a direct descendant of Gilbert.
I'm sure they give him a position, pushing plastic plates.
Well, the Gilbert Swanson family doesn't even own it anymore. They haven't since the 1950s.
Oh, really?
Campbell's bought it.
Oh.
I'm telling you, The Food That Built America is a great series of shows on History Channel. You guys have got to watch it. You'll learn a lot there. Just don't take all of it for gospel, especially if it's about Burger Chef. That come to me because I'm the expert on Burger Chef.
Did you find anything, Katy, on his...
No, I think you're right about the TV dinner thing, but I'm just looking. I'm seeing all kinds of weird stuff now because he's in the news with the NSA claims.
Oh,
but go work there.
Yes, Actually, you can find it on Wikipedia. And I want to get to this next story because even though we don't have any Wells Fargo offices here, I'm sure there's some around the towns where our show airs. This is Celine Castronuevo writing for The Hill. This is dated July 8th. Folks, if you have accounts with Wells Fargo, especially revolving line of credits, you're going to want to perk your ears up for this. Wells Fargo has begun informing customers that it will no longer be offering personal credit lines, with all existing lines being shut down in the coming weeks. In a 6-page letter to consumers obtained by CNBC, Wells Fargo said it had recently reviewed its product offerings and decided to discontinue offering new personal and portfolio line of credit accounts and close all existing accounts, instead setting its focus on credit cards and personal loans. The revolving credit lines had been a popular consumer lending product, allowing customers to consolidate higher interest credit card debt, avoid overdraft fees on checking accounts, as well as other actions. Credit lines usually allowed customers to borrow anywhere from $3,000 to $100,000, according to CNBC. I'm going to stop right here just to kind of explain how a revolving line of credit works. A former employee of NBD Bank speaking to you right now made it as high as assistant branch manager. So I approved some of these. So what you do is a revolving line of credit, or unsecured line of credit is what we used to call it. There's no collateral attached to it. You write checks. They issue you checks with the account number on the bottom, just like a regular personal checking account, except it's not out of what you've put in money-wise. It's a loan. You write checks on it. You can withdraw cash at the bank branch. You get a monthly statement, and then you either pay the minimum payment or you pay it off, whatever you do. These revolving line of credits typically have an annual fee, $40, $50, somewhere in there. They used to have them where they were tied to the equity in your home. They used to call them home equity line of credits. That's a separate product. Same thing as a unsecured. The difference is they put a mortgage on your house, and if you miss a payment, guess what? You might get foreclosed on. So
this is the same Wells Fargo, isn't it, that we talked about on the show? They opened millions of accounts in customers' names without their knowledge, signed unwitting account holders up for credit cards and bill payment cards, created fake personal identification numbers, forged signatures, and secretly transferred customers' money. But don't worry. It only happened to 1,534,280 people.
And you know why they did that? You know why that occurred? I'll tell you the reason. This is something I don't know if they still do it, but they did it back when I was working at NBD. They used to have a program, specifically at NBD, where you could get these credits that you then turn in for merchandise. I actually got a camera off of this. By selling accounts, upselling accounts. So if somebody comes in, let's say, Jack, you come in and you want to cash a check. It's drawn on, well, what's now Chase Bank. Okay, do you have an account with us? Oh, you should open an account with us because we can offer this, 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 and this. We have savings accounts. Back in the good old days of NBD, you used to have the same account number for your checking, your savings, and then they had 9 separate special purpose accounts, SPA accounts, because NBD didn't do the Christmas Club. You remember those, don't you, Jack?
Oh, yeah.
Christmas Club accounts. So what you would do is you would name these accounts 1 through 9. So if you wanted to save money for a specific purpose, like car repairs, you would put the money in this special account with special deposit slips, special withdrawal slips, and you indicated what number that was going into. And then you could use your savings account as overdraft protection for your checking. And that's actually what a lot of people do with these revolving line of credits.
Today.
They tie them into your checking account as overdraft protection because it'll just, let's say you
It sucks you further into debt.
Well, here's how they sell it to you, though. If you overdraw your checking account, that's $35, $40, whatever. They sell this to you by saying, well, we'll just sweep the money from this line of credit into your checking to cover the check so it doesn't bounce.
Well,
right.
And you don't get the $40 fee. We'll charge you $10 for sweeping the money into the account, plus the interest you're going to pay.
We did this great big favor for you. Thing.
We'll only make
that's how they sell it to you.
So here's what I've got from July 2nd, printed. This was published by The Hill. Former executive says Wells Fargo acted like the mafia to suppress internal critics.
Don't doubt it.
Of course.
It's like the mafia, literally.
But
said
maybe
Alicia Reyes, who left Wells Fargo in January 2020 and spoke to a former contractor during an April 2020 call. This place is just a scheme. There's no intention of actually solving problems or building things. There's just smoke and mirrors and a cover-up.
Yep.
Absolutely.
The pile of regulatory problems that they have is so large, Reyes added, according to the Journal. There are much bigger issues that they are also sweeping under the carpet.
Maybe you guys can help me. I don't understand. How does the bank benefit by making? They ended up with 3,500,000 totally fraudulent accounts. They didn't get more money. They just got more accounts. How does that help a bank?
It doesn't help the bank per se. It helps with the individual bank employee sales because you're
being paid on commission.
You basically get paid commission or whatever, or like I said, you
give somebody a loan,
or like I said, you get these credits that you would then turn into actual merchandise.
Ultimately, it helps the bank
because then they can charge all these fees, and that makes the money. But
also, who owns the property management companies now? I was talking to you about this yesterday. The big banks. Who owns everything? The big banks. So it's not just in those loans that nobody's going to be able to afford to pay, but in the fallout of not being able to pay that, they are profiting in the private prisons. They're profiting from the debt collection agencies they own.
You mean to tell me, Katie, they would make a bogus account that would get you in jeopardy, and they would somehow come after you for not being able to keep that account going?
Absolutely.
Yes. And then you could even go to jail, and they own the jail.
This is scurrilous.
Well,
unbelievable.
Let me get back to this, because here's the real kicker to Wells Fargo ending this revolving line of credit accounts. In an FAQ portion of the letter, the bank explained that the account closures, quote, may have an impact on your credit score, end of quote, adding that they cannot be reviewed or reversed. In the bank letter, according to CNBC, they say, quote, we apologize for the inconvenience this line of credit closure will cause. The account closure is final, end of quote. According to CNBC, Wells Fargo said customers will be given a notice 60 days before their account is shut down, with remaining balances requiring minimum payments at a fixed rate. So here's your advice, folks. If you have one of these personal lines of credit, Don't wait the 60 days. If you can pay it off and close it yourself, because when you do that, it's going to reflect on your credit report that the consumer closed the account, not the lender. If the lender reports that they closed it, it's going to drop your credit score. So if you can afford it, do it. If you can't, find another bank to do your business, transfer that money, close it yourself, and do whatever you can to close it yourself. Do not let them close it for you.
Keep in mind, though, that even paying off a loan reduces your credit score now.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a backwards game. The more in debt you are, the higher your credit is.
It was found that 190,000 of the 3.5 million potentially unauthorized accounts incurred charges and fees. So they made an account in your name and charged you for being... Mm-hmm. I'm just blown away.
Yeah. By the way, Wells Fargo agreed to pay $1 billion in a settlement over charges that the bank had levied inappropriate fees on mortgage borrowers and forced loan customers to purchase auto insurance, which I could see that. It's actually in the state of Michigan. There's a law in the state of Michigan. If you get a car loan, you have to carry full coverage on it. If you don't, the bank will put full coverage on it until it's paid off. It's called forced place insurance, and it's a hell of a lot more expensive than what you would buy.
First of all, Darren, I'm calling for a vote here at the headquarters of Southpaws.
Yeah.
All in favor of removing Darren from the headship of this Southpaws because of his affiliation with a filthy, rotten bank as almost the top chief in the bank.
Now listen to this.
We need some explanation.
When I was down in Benton Harbor, I second
that motion.
When I was in Benton Harbor working for what was then NBD, I used to give the uppers hell because they were just not following any of the rules.
Oh, I'm not surprised, yeah.
To the point I stayed 7.5 months and I got back to Grand Rapids as fast as I could.
It's that rotten.
It was that bad. Okay. Yeah. I actually started, you know how I started working for them? I've got a job through a temp agency pulling microfilm and microfiche copies of old bank statements and old checks that had run through and had been canceled. Because they didn't have anybody to do it. They were getting ready to move that department down to Belleville, Michigan because of the consolidation. So anything that you needed from the old Union Bank and Trust or Grand Valley National Bank, it's in Grand Rapids, and I was the one that had to look that stuff up.
Interesting.
And some of it...
So you recommend to people a credit union today?
Absolutely. Either you're a small local bank or a credit union.
I noticed Chase has been just knocking them down one after the other, been disappearing.
They used to have about 7 or 8 branches around the Benton Harbor, St. Joseph, Stevensville area. They're down to probably 3 or 4.
Yeah, and it's to the point, I mean, somebody ran into the one
at
Division and
Division 44th, yep.
But they did it on purpose. They pulled it out after somebody hit it and never replaced it, so there's no ATM there anymore.
They knew what they're doing on that.
Yeah,
they've closed that branch office, by the way. I just drove by there a couple days ago. Yeah, they did it on purpose,
you can tell, and I'm sure it's because we ended up paying for the new...
I'm learning something just being here this morning.
Yeah.
Same.
Well, I tell you what, we are out of time for this week. We will be back next week if I'm not evicted from Southpaws. I'm Darren Gibson.
Further. I'm Katy Steele.
I'm Jack Prince.
For our announcer, Kristen Cook, please support independent media and the First Amendment.
The stations that carry Southpaws do not necessarily share the opinions expressed on the show. Southpaws is protected by the First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution and is copyrighted by Big D Entertainment. All rights reserved.